Hello and welcome to Advertisers Watching Ads. My name is Tom Morrison. I'm the founder of Automated Creative, and this is a show where brands watch other brands' ads and discuss what's good and bad about them. We are brought to you, as always, by the Conscious Advertising Network, so please go and check those guys out after the show. But first of all, let's meet this week's guests.
Hi, I'm Laura Lesser. I look after culture and innovation at O2.
Hi, my name is Scott Morrison. I am the founder of The Boom.
Hi, I'm Rich Miles, and I am CEO and founder of the Diversity Standards Collective.
Thanks so much for joining us this week, guys. We are going to look at an ad by Tommee Tippee.
Hey. Quick to the hip, stick. I'm coming off steam. Better not catch your bluff. What's a king to a queen? Watch your back in my spotlight. All the eyes on me. Pick a lane, be a smart guy. Just the A1 team. I'm the queen of this town. Round here we like to get down. Freak it up to this sound. Like I'm the best. I'm the best in this. Quick to the pound. Be on the sideline and sit down. I lay clean to the crown. Pull it up, get a drink, down round. Add sense to the best sense. Got a few cents left for the whole crew stepping out smoothing. I'ma buy the bar tonight. So drink till your feet get light.
Right, Scott, what did you make of that first time you saw it?
Oh, shocking. Maybe not. Then I sort of looked at it again and it's like a bit of disbelief, but not sure I'd seen what I'd seen. And then I sort of looked at it through, yeah, okay, I see what you've done here. Naked breasts are going to offend, and you're trying to make that point. I think they started going down, showing the breasts as often as they can, and I kind of think they forgot to tell us what the ad was about somewhere along the way. And I'm not sure whether there was a shock factor, but I lost the kind of product. Then I thought to myself, do I think that Tommee Tippee is a modern brand that understands women? And I can only say that from a man's perspective. So I would probably say yes, more so than before. So I guess probably job done. But from a purist advertiser looking at advertising, I felt a bit shortchanged.
Overall, I found it really real and relatable, and I think it's a really great sort of impactful ad in terms of normalising breastfeeding and all the things that are related to it in terms of bottles and leaking breasts, etc. So I could tell that they used real people, not models, and that they were trying to do a bit of a Dove Real Beauty around breastfeeding. I think that was my initial comparison to it.
I found it quite realistic and quite playful in that realism, rather than a little drip. It was honest. So I thought it was quite refreshing to see that, actually, and was relieved that finally somebody had done it in this sort of humorous, playful way, rather than like a super serious, like you can now take your blanket off your boobs. It was just a bit of a nice way of doing it.
What would have helped land it better? What would have made this a better ad?
What I love about the element of the ad is it's not hiding behind the fact that breastfeeding is messy. But I go on the last point I made. I just felt shortchanged because for me, the benchmark of doing that was womb stories. And the beauty of womb stories as creative and body form was that it was nuanced, right? The stories were real and they were in detail, but they were beautifully crafted. It took you through various different things that left you to fill in the gaps. That kind of approach is brilliant, because it makes the audience think. And if you want to do that realism and you want to do it really powerfully and you really want to engage, I think you've got to look at that as your benchmark rather than, let's just kind of be a bit gratuitous about what we do.
And in line with what you were saying about the narrative, I think they probably had two choices, right? They could either tell a story or they could put forward this strong, confident, it's okay to have your boobs out. And I think they went with that rather than telling a different type of narrative. I'm not sure if they could do both.
I'd say that Made for Me is Made for You is very underwhelming as a campaign tagline. It just sounds like something they already had that is quite corporate. To what you're saying, Scott, I think they had a real opportunity, if they wanted to make this something more campaignable and really look to achieve something and keep the conversation going, but it almost signs off and that's it. And I mean, they could have included maybe a hashtag or a website, anything as a bit of a call to action at the end as well.
Do you think that they should have pushed more into the sort of campaign for real beauty, trying to create a movement? Is that enough if this is followed up with something else? Or do you think they've missed the opportunity to really play a role in the transformation of mums' lives who are breastfeeding?
I do think from what we've seen of the ads, I do feel that they have missed an opportunity to do more. It'd be good to get your guys' point of view on the role of men as well in the ad, because there is only one sort of tokenistic dad featured. And I think part of all of this sort of area in terms of normalising conversations and openness for women and is getting men involved too. I think they need to really show a commitment and doing more and look at what they want to ultimately achieve here to help women.
We put ourselves in these ads a lot of the time. So when I saw the dad with the milk, I automatically thought he must be a gay dad. Because there was no other men involved, though, that's why it felt to me like he may be a gay dad, because I thought that the advertisers may be like, this is the woman's job to deal with the milk. And actually there's one slightly effeminate gay guy who also takes that role. So it was interesting that they told us a lot of stories, and then they kind of did shoehorn a couple of token different communities in. Representation is great for all communities, but I feel like if you're going to do it, like, tell one narrative, and then the next step might be telling an LGBT story with that, or telling a story about how hard it can be to breastfeed sometimes. And hopefully we'll get a lot more insights into those little mini shots that we saw, and that, I think, would help the campaign.
Can you tell us what you think the audience of brands watching this ad should be taking away from it?
It's more important about what you do than what you say. This feels like a very much what they want to say kind of thing. If I was the person who's in charge of that campaign, I'd be like, what else are we doing? What more are we doing to be really at the heart of this and really creating for mums and dads and families and carers and the whole breastfeeding thing? And are we just providing plastic pots for milk? And I'm being really exaggerating to make the point. Or are we really putting ourselves at the heart of this big discussion about breastfeeding, and we're trying to change the way that people perceive it? And that's what we're going to do long term.
One of the key things that brands should take away from this is that people do want to be spoken to and treated in a more human and real relatable way. And I think particularly the pandemic and the likes of TikTok have really accelerated this trend to show that, life isn't glossy. Not everything has to be this super perfect, like high production value all the time. So I think that would be a positive to take away from this. But I think the negative is that if you are doing something like this and looking to show your brand's purpose, then you need to look at how you're following it through. And I think they need to really consider how to be more memorable, and if they are doing related activity, it'd be nice to see them doing, say, some product ads, which are really highlighting the role that the brand and the product plays more.
I'll go for just the category. And I think if I was another brand in that category, I'd be like, I can't believe they've suddenly got themselves ahead of the race, I think. And if I was other category brands, I'd be a little bit like, why didn't we do that? Why weren't we brave enough? But now they can now, if Tommee Tippee doesn't do anything else, these brands can just suddenly overtake them. So I think there's going to be, if I was going to give Tommee Tippee any advice now, it's stay at the front of the race and do the things that, like Laura and Scott said, and expand that, tell real stories, and keep ahead of that race. You've done a good job, but people now will be jumping to catch up with you.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you next week.